Now these just arrived on the channel and there's a lot of interesting talking points that I'm going to show you in this video, a lot of details, and I'm sure a lot of you are going to be as excited as I am about this model and about the return of the preseason line. Hey guys, welcome back to a Kicks Business channel, and today we're looking at the newly released Reebok Preseason 94, or what the model original name was, the Preseason Arsenal Mid, or in some areas Atlas Mid. Now I'm not sure why Reebok are not releasing it with the same name. Maybe there's some naming convention issues with other companies, other teams, or some modern name naming. I personally like to call them the Arsenal Mid, as this is how I remember them and this is how they were back in the day. And this is actually the third generation of the model. There was other ones released before it. So I'm kind of confused why Reebok decided to jump in the middle of the preseason line and release a model that was further down the line and not from the beginning. But this is how things are done these days, so that's what they decided to do. But I will take that, and I'm super happy that the line is back. This writing right here, the preseason, was one of the coolest logos, and I've said that many times before. Having a different segmentation back in the day was one of the coolest things. Having basketball with above the rim and blacktop, having cross training, having preseason, having all the other ones, Aerostep for the different sports was excellent, because you can see even on the box what sport was that shoe tailored for, and you can kind of follow up the line and really love it. I mean, personally, preseason was incredible. One of my first encounters with Reebok, and one of my first models that I really fell in love with was the Pump Pay Dirt, the very first generation. I mentioned that in my previous video. But now we're looking at the Arsenal Mid, or the Preseason 94, how they call it right now. And I'm gonna point a few things that you guys probably not even noticed. Those of you that bought the shoe, that you probably didn't even notice that as well. But I'm gonna talk about it. And if you follow me on Instagram, you're going to see a lot of details that I showed on the original pair and the changes that were made here. Obviously, you're going to see it now on the details. Some of the things I'm going to point out right away. And I'm not sure why companies do this, including Reebok. To me, it's quite frustrating. Some of the old heads as well, like me, have shared that they're not happy with that situation and with that changes. Like the redesign of the strap. Everybody's confused why the preseason logo is not on the side where it was back in the day, where it belongs. In overall redesign of the strap, there was a holes back in the day in the strap. There was a completely different material and texture on the third portion of the vector right here, and now it's just painted synthetic leather. Maybe the painted part is money-saving, cost-saving touch, which is fine by me, but the whole redesign of why is the stitching preseason not on the side and why there's no holes becomes a mystery to me, and one of those things that I don't know why they're doing it. I mean, if I'm the project manager on this release, I will try to keep it as close as possible to the original one. I know the materials are going to be different, this is going to be different, that is going to be different, but the shape and the overall look of the shoe should be preserved. With this out of the way, I've talked about it many times when this shoe was initially hinted on the Instagram, like I mentioned before. The rest of the shoe is pretty up on par with what the original one was, which means the whole entire upper of the shoe is synthetic. This is how the original one was, and I'm not offended by that as well. We have synthetic leather and synthetic nubuck on the front, on the back panel, and some of the touches that were kind of very unique for Reebok, signature for Reebok around that time, 94, 95. Was that mesh on both lateral and medial side. You will notice some of the basketball models as well, above the rim models, vertical models, the ones that were created by Mr. E. Scott Morris. They feature the same thing, which kind of provides extra ventilation. Obviously, this was a cross trainer and a turf shoe. A lot of football players play with these, and a lot of baseball players as well. There's a P version of this one. You guys probably seen it, but I'm gonna throw a picture as well with a Big Hurt logo right on the back, Frank Thomas, obviously. But there was a version just with Reebok. So before he got his signature and you know, kind of shoe that is made just for him, the Big Hurt, dubbed by his nickname as well, he rocked a lot of these preseason models. And a lot of them kind of featured his logo and stuff like that. And this one also had it in the back right here. Obviously, they're not going to release it like this anymore. Otherwise, they're going to have to pay the man. Tooling has changed a little bit, and maybe again for cost savings purposes, The midsole, where this portion in the middle is, this used to be part of the midsole, very soft. Now it's solid rubber. So if you kind of look at the outsole very closely, you will notice that the whole outsole is one uniform rubber piece. It's not separated in the past. It used to be front portion and back portion solid rubber, and right in the middle where your arch is and where the texture is, this was part of the midsole, and it was very soft. Now this whole area is just rubber, solid rubber, with the big Vector logo, just like the original one. But the midsole is very soft. This is much softer than what the original one was. Why do I know this? My best friend had this exact model, and I had it in my hands and on my feet for many days. I know exactly how they felt. They were not as soft. This midsole, whatever their Reebok are doing with this compound that they're putting in a lot of shoes, it is smashing. It's very soft and comfortable. I absolutely love it. And now on the big reveal for me, if you look very closely into the Hexalite right here, this new Hexalite, and I'm saying new because it's vastly different than what I've seen on all the other previous models. This new Hexalite actually reminds me and resembles the original Hexalite very closely, to a point when I flipped the shoe around, I look closely, and I thought they finally came back with the original Hexalite. Now the walls of this new one are slightly thicker than the original one, but we still have hexagonal cells that are empty. Otherwise they have air inside, opposed to some previous releases up until now where the cells were actually solid rubber and the spacing between the cells was actually space. It's not walls. So it's kind of flipped around. Those are for the Hexalite nerds like me that actually keep an eye on these kind of details. And even with your finger, if you press on that Hexalite, it feels just like the original Hexalite. So I don't know who the new maker is. Whoever is doing this, great job. You guys should have really emphasized and advertised this as the return of the Hexalite, because it feels just like the original Hexalite. Now the big strap, obviously we have hook and loop. If we unstrap it, we have normal lacing system. We have Vector logo on the tongue, which I think the original one was different here as well. The padding here is just not like the original one. This is another thing I noticed immediately. I think the original pair was a lot more padded around the heel and on the tongue as well. We had a lot more padding, but again, this is another thing that we are kind of used to seeing these days. And on top of the insole, we only have Reebok now with the Vector. There's no preseason logo. I don't know how much it would have cost them to actually put the preseason logo on top of it, because the original pair had the preseason and Reebok logos right on top of the insole. You can't really pull the insole. It's kind of a glued in, but if I pry my fingers underneath and kind of look at it, it's the run-of-the-mill, what I call simple insoles. There's no Ortholite here. There's no blue, there's no yellow, none of that stuff. You can't really pull it unless you try really hard and use some prying tool and try to get that insole out and clean it and stuff like that. But yeah, it's nothing to write home about this insole, so not much time I'm gonna spend on it. And these are produced in October of 23, so very recently, just released this week on the market. And this marks the return of the preseason line again. I'm super excited to see these in my hand. I'm super excited actually to grab the lows. A couple of the colorways of the lows are my favorite, and I have a couple of original pairs from back in those days that are still wearable, and I'm gonna make a comparison between the lows I have and the lows that are releasing now and see what the difference is. To me, from pictures I can tell they're very close to the original one because they don't have the strap redesign, and as a low, there's very little things that you can change. So I'm going to be very curious to see how they feel compared to the original one and the materials used compared to the original one. But tiny details here and there that I always remembered and loved, like the preseason logo on the heel, lateral side of the heel. This was one of the coolest things. I remember my friend liked that logo so much, but because it was blacked out like this, he actually went on and painted it white to be more visible. That was a nice touch. We have stitching Reebok and Vector in the back, pull tab. Overall, these fit great. True to size to me, they're super comfortable. And if you want to rock something that really screams 90s, and those football fans out there, guys, you remember these on tons of feet. Football players on the turf, you're definitely gonna enjoy this. And what else I can say, the black and white colorway is so iconic. There are a lot more coming very soon. I think on February 9th, there's one new colorway, the kind of black and silver front. It's part of the same pack. ES22 and the Preseason 94 are releasing with the same color scheme. They're another pack that people are excited about, and I'm curious to see those new colorways, how they're gonna pan out. But honestly, even if only OG colorways release, I'm still gonna be excited, and I'm still gonna be even more excited because I absolutely love the OG colorways. I'm cool with the new colorways, but I prefer personally to have OGs and OG look. So having them in my hands after 30 years, it's simply incredible. Never thought I'm gonna see these shoes again. I keep repeating this in every single release from Reebok, but they keep surprising me with these releases, and a lot of you are surprised as well. So when the preseason line was kind of hinted towards the end of last year, I was so happy. I was close to being as happy as I was when I saw the above the rim and the vertical coming back, just because these are so iconic, and I have so many memories as a high school kid around these shoes and around this line. And to me, Reebok bringing these back is just amazing. So yeah, definitely grab yourself a pair of these. Trust me, you're not gonna be disappointed. The price is nothing to break the bank. Under $130 for amazing comfort, for a great look. You're gonna stand out. Don't be like everybody else. Rock Reebok and enjoy your life. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Hit the thumbs up if you like the video. Stay tuned to the channel. Subscribe if you're new. There are a lot more videos coming very, very soon. I have a ton more of these new releases to show you, some vintage pairs as well. Videos will keep coming, so subscribe so you don't miss any of those. And until next time, guys, you have a wonderful day.